everything that's going on with the Texans and get you ready for training camp and also the season. So look forward to getting some questions with you guys now that the live chat has begun. And yeah, we'll go from there. So it's a interesting time because we're just still a few days out from the start of camp, and it'll be pretty busy, lots of storylines. Look forward to providing a lot of content, answering a lot of questions, and of course doing lives. So talking to you guys and getting a chance to have quite a bit of questions and just letting you guys know what we're all about here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of your questions here pop in. And there's my first one. And hello to Ty Kalo, one of my best contributors. Everybody that's in the chat, I'm going to do a little share here on Twitter. Make sure everybody knows that I'm getting started here. Hopefully mic sounds good, all those good things. Just one sec, bear with me. Using my laptop. Very excited, Rhino. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really good training camp. I've got a lot of things I want to look at with this team. I just posted a video with Randy McElvoy. We were at KPRC Studios, and we were talking about everything with the team and kind of getting through everything with the whole, storylines of camp and things to watch. So one second, guys. I'm just doing a quick share here. So everybody knows I'm getting going. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's just we have a question from Cassia. Did I watch the Pivot interview? Yes, I did watch it. I thought that it was good. It was sort of a rewind for me because I've already had that conversation with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and we covered all these things like Darius Slay, like the trade, like him shooting down the explanation from Howie Roseman that it was about the money. We covered his thoughts, his excitement to play for DeMeco Ryans. He told me he needed time to be on his own before he was ready to be around the guys, and then he told me he would be there, and he's a man of his word, and he was there for the mini camp. So yeah, Cassia, I mean, yeah, they had an hour-long conversation, but we covered a bunch of that ground. And so, yeah, those guys do a great job. But at the same time, this was something I've already done. So I already had the privilege of having a great conversation with CJ, which he reposted in his behind-the-scenes documentary on his YouTube channel. So I appreciate him for sharing that. And he even had a cool black and white photo of me and him chopping it up. So appreciate CD Deuce, also known as CJ Gardner-Johnson. And yeah, I watched the whole thing. I would say this, those guys, yeah, they do a great job. They definitely get a lot of access as former players. But, some of us journalists get access too. And seems like my interview was somewhat lost in the sauce. Like, what about my interview that I already did that was my exclusive? Just saying. Didn't see a lot of anything from Ryan and those guys about the interview that was already conducted and videos and workouts and stuff like that. But apparently they've been wanting to talk to him ever since the Super Bowl, and so they got their interview with him. But I will be providing you guys lots of interviews too. And for all of you guys that are YouTube subscribers, we're close to 11,000 subscribers now. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining me on this ride, this YouTube ride, and for being a part of it. But yeah, I continue giving you guys exclusives And yeah, no, thank you, Kasi. I think it did. So that interview, just to kind of tell you guys how it works, that was requested by the NFL Network and ESPN, and they both used it, repurposed it. It was on NFL Live. So that interview did see the light of day. It's beyond just the very, very large and great Houston television market of KPRC with Randy McElboy and my growing YouTube channel, which obviously is not as big as The Pivot. But it did get some attention. It was aggregated by every major website, the NFL.coms and the Pro Football Talks and all of those guys, and USA Today, etc. So it did get attention. It's very much, as you guys know in the media landscape, what have you done for me lately? So that's why, it didn't maybe get as much of attention, or people aren't going to go back and look at it. But yeah, he already covered a lot of that ground. So yeah, those were my thoughts. I wanted to say something about Brian Bramond, the late great special teams ace and linebacker from West Texas A&M that played for the Texans, and give my deepest condolences to his friends, his family, his former teammates, and he was remembered beautifully by his agent, Sean Stellato. That was our conversation from early this morning. He passed around 2 a.m. was when they got the call, and Sean Stellato talked with me this morning about it and did a really great remembrance about an underdog, the pillar of the underdog, he called him, and someone that was not just a dream chaser, but a dream catcher, and just lived a life so full and so sad to die at age 38. I would tell you this, and I was kind of privy to this before. He had a very rare aggressive form of cancer. It was eating away his body, and the treatments, he could not cope with the treatments, even though it would occasionally stop or slow down the cancer. It was ultimately just an opponent that wasn't going to be beaten, and he fought a brave fight. And rest in peace to Brian Bramond, and blessings to him and his family, and just very, very sad. It's really, really, really sad story. He was not here when I was here. He played for Gary Kubiak. As you guys know, I covered Bill O'Brien and all the subsequent coaches, but I did not cover Gary Kubiak. I covered Gary when he was working for the Ravens, but I would cover games that Brian played in. I'm very well aware of Brian and his legacy of toughness, dedication, and special teams. So it's been a day with a lot of perspective to think about Brian. As much excitement as there is about training camp, this was a day to honor Brian Bramond, and I'm sure the organization will do some things for him and for his family. But just deepest condolences to him and his family. And yeah, Mellow Mike, CJ, he is, as he'll tell you, sometimes I'm too much. And he says people will tell him that. And this is all ground I think that's been covered. I think for him, it was good timing to be able to go get his Super Bowl ring tomorrow on Friday, and along with some Houston locals like Anaya Smith and Jalix Hunt, and just to enjoy this because he did something special with the Eagles. Nothing lasts in this league, so sometimes it's just time to move on. And I would say, with him, maybe there's some closure now for him. And I think some of what again, everybody has this to some extent, I think, that they feel better when they vent and get things off their chest. Sometimes I feel that way. I have people listen to me if I'm frustrated with the situation, and I will talk about it and why. I just feel like that's, what I want to do for me, to get an opportunity to just tell everybody. There's a few adjustments to the microphone. If anybody wants to give me a kind of a mic check, I won't be able to check it while we're doing it. But how's it sounding, guys? All feedback is welcome. So let me know if I need to do a little fine-tuning of my microphone here. As far as press conferences, Cassia, during the first and second weeks. Okay, cool. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. I can tell you who will be talking. I don't know the exact days. CJ Stroud will do an interview early in training camp. Nick Caserio will have a press conference right after that. Right after as we report. So he'll have a press conference before the first practice. D'Amico Ryans will talk almost every single day. We'll have a time to talk to several players, including the Will Anderson Jr.'s, and if he's healthy enough to practice, Joe Mixon. I'm not necessarily expecting a interview with, say, like a player like a Jimmy Ward or any injured player. You could not expect them. But what I do expect is several offensive linemen to have interviews. I think that you'll see top rookies like Jaden Higgins get their time, maybe just not the first day. So a lot of veterans will be the guys that talk early in camp, guys that are in that team captain kind of category. So, we'll hear from several top players like Will Anderson Jr., C.J. Stroud. As they say in the music business, you play your hits. So if this was a concert, the Texans will play a lot of their hits. But they have lots of players. They try to mix it up and get a good mix of who's being asked for interviews and guys they know that are of high interest. So very quickly, C.J. Stroud will be interviewed. We're going to talk to CJ and his mom, and I don't think Tank Dell will do an interview. I've hung out and talked to Tank several times this summer at camps, but they don't really want him doing a health update at this time. So I don't anticipate an interview with him. But, they're going to have lots of those interviews, but we'll be at a community event that CJ's having on Saturday, so look for that on your programming. And I've got a surprise tomorrow. Don't know if this will be an interview, but I'm going to go to something tomorrow. I cannot talk about it yet. That may be of interest to fans. And Jaden Higgins, Jalen Smith, no, I haven't seen a lot of those matchups. I've seen Jaden against Kamari Lassiter. I've seen him beat Kamari Lassiter. I've also seen Kamari cover Jaden Higgins, so those have been good matchups. Yep. Jake Andrews, he did an interview with the Texans guys, their in-house guys. So it's kind of what you would expect. He's a big Cole Popovich guy, as I've been saying since his arrival. That will be good. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't seen those YouTube clips. I wasn't at the Senior Bowl. I kind of reserved my off-season travel for two events that I thought were the very important ones that I needed to go to. And those were the NFL Scouting Combine and the NFL Owners Meetings. I don't anticipate. That's a great question, Jim, about whether they would tie C.J. Stroud's contract to a percentage of the salary cap. No, I think it's going to be like these other quarterback deals, and I think it will probably start with a $60 million. Has Nick said anything about the second round debacles? Interesting. So a little commentary there about the debacles. Well, they're starting to sign in the second round, and yes, he did set a negotiating precedent, a milestone with the fully guaranteed $11 million plus deal for Jaden Higgins, who essentially they're treating as their first round draft pick. This is what I've heard, and I don't want to speak for Nick. My understanding is that he's not concerned about the other teams. He's concerned about doing what he thinks is in the best interest of the Texans. If he's asked that question next week, I wonder if that's what he'll say. Maybe he will. But yes, he is doing what he thinks is in the best interest, what he considers to be fair. I can tell you this, he's very popular in the agent community, and people might be looking at the Texans as a team they want to play for. I think it will affect his ability to do trades, is a question I've been posed by some. No, I think if it's a good deal, anybody will do business with him. Has it annoyed anyone around the NFL? Yes, unequivocally, I can say that. I have been told that. That is true, as far as like people with teams. But are deals still happening? Will there be this giant logjam? There are already starting to be deals, guys. Look at how many deals there were today. The second part of your question, any progress with Ariante Ursary? Another yes. Yes, there is progress. Yes, there is dialogue. I expect it to happen. I think it will happen before training camp. I don't anticipate him missing any practices. I'm in the minority on this, but I want to make this point. And I think it's different perspectives. Do I think it is the end of the world if a rookie misses a practice? No, I don't. Do I also think that it's very likely that a second-round pick is going to be such a bust that you're going to want to cut him? before the fourth year or by the fourth year? Again, no. I don't think that's likely. Also, if someone was to claim that contract, they would be the one on the hook for those guarantees. So I don't really see the big problem here other than it set a precedent. People don't like that. People don't like precedents, and they would prefer not to guarantee a lot of these deals. But, Nick, it is a free country, last time I checked. So Nick is free to run the Texans the way he wants to run them. Does this make him like the most popular guy among the general managers? No, obviously not. But the last time I checked, and I did, he works for the McNairs, not for the National Football League. So if the McNairs don't have any problem with it, and I know they don't, it's all good. And there's no more money. It's just whether it's guaranteed. The dollars and the pennies, everything down to the penny, is exactly the same in terms of compensation. So Ariante Ursaria will sign a $9.2 million deal with a signing bonus of over $3 million. And the first 3 years would expect to be guaranteed, and a percentage of the fourth year will be guaranteed. Right, Casa, with Tank, he's able to talk to us informally. The team prefers him not doing interviews at this time, so that's why he is not doing interviews. They want him to focus on his rehab. Could he certainly say something simple like, I'm working hard and I can't wait to play again and appreciate all the support? Absolutely he could, but I guess they don't want him even doing that. That's okay. He is following orders. He's doing what the team is asking him to do, so he's being a good soldier. That's what they prefer. I can tell you that he's still not expected to play this year. Might he feel good enough in December or January to play? Yes, but it would not be a good idea. He needs to use this time to get himself back to full health. I think that is really the most important thing. Hi, Ronald. Here's the question for anybody that can't see his question from Mellow Mike's got a lot of good questions tonight. How much pressure does a guaranteed contract place on a general manager and scouting to put more evaluation into the medical? Could we see medicals make teams less likely to draft a player with an injury history early? Teams always in the second round are not necessarily taking a huge injury risk, depending on if something is a recurring or chronic or debilitating injury. Most of the time, guys in the second round, if they did drop like a Will Johnson, it's an injury that the players expect to make a full recovery from. I think they will ease Christian Harris into training camp because he did not participate in the offseason. I think there'll be some level of participation. It could be running on the side field. It could be that he's not doing full go for all drills. Other guys, I expect this from Joe Mixon. I don't think Trent Brown is going to be ready for the first day. And I'm probably missing a few guys. I think Jalen Noel will be ready. But yeah, I think it's going to be a bunch of guys that might be eased into training camp, and then we don't know, who maybe strained their hamstring over the summer necessarily, or maybe they feel a little tight on the first day from the conditioning test. So, and I would just say, and I said this in the video with Randy, and we both concur, if someone's not doing something at the start of training camp in July, but they are ready for the first game, that's 6 weeks from now, I think that's fine. I think just people need to calm down a little bit. Yep. That's accurate. Yep. Cole Popovich, very distant relative of Greg Popovich. Don't know if they have talked or anything like that. I've never interviewed Cole, heard great things about him. I look forward to interviewing him during the preseason when assistant coaches are cleared to do interviews. Brevin Jordan, it's the same thing. He'll be eased in. He didn't tear his ACL until September against the Chicago Bears, so we're not even a whole year out. So not anticipating a full-go Brevin Jordan. Thinking that he'll be eased into training camp and drills, And what they normally do for that is the active physically unable to perform list. So I expect them to have several players on the active physically unable to perform list. And you'll see that all across the league. Guys are on the PUP list, and it's not anything to be alarmed by. It doesn't mean that they won't play against the Rams, or by the first or second game, they're full go, depending on their progress or lack thereof. It's just a matter of when, not if, in the case of all those players that we talked about. And again, we'll do our best with injury reports and giving you guys information. The honest answer is we don't necessarily always have every answer. Why? Because they're not required to do an injury report. D'Amico Ryans, as you can tell, doesn't like being asked or quizzed about injuries every single day. He bristles a bit or pushes back a little on giving out information. The whole CJ Stroud thing was, I think, instructive about what happened and how they feel about it. But you guys that watch the channel, you had the right information because I told you, not to pat myself on the back too much, but just being honest here and all credit where credit's due. I knew exactly what he was dealing with and what the outlook was. Keep hearing about suburbs, Oscar, but nothing concrete. I think it could be still within Harris County, but we're going to see. No update right now. Oh, thank you, Patty. Yeah, and I'll pass it on to Mrs. Wilson, a.k.a. Shannon. And she's the one that just made that thumbnail of me and Randy in NRG Stadium for the latest video that is up. Shameless plug. New video we did today, and it's already live. And then I've got some other videos I'm going to work on. Of course, this one will be available via replay once it uploads, and then people can watch this that weren't part of the live. But invite your friends. Tell them to get in on the action live. That's the whole thing about the live aspect of this. Hence the name and the title, that you get to have your questions answered in real time. You don't have to wait for me to post a video or try to pick the topics that you guys want. This is tailored to you all and hopefully what you're looking to talk about and the channel. And any question is a good question, whatever you want to ask me. Like they'd say on Reddit, ask me anything. So, yeah, I'm big on transparency and answering any question you guys have. I'll venture an answer if I can. And, we'll get into everything. Mike, you're much more familiar than I am, to have watched Fresno State football. I know what kind of football they play at Fresno and the kind of tough guy that Logan Mankins is. And, I've always heard about Cole, who was a guard and a really good player. Thanks, Casa. Yeah, Kamar Lassiter, and that was also Kalen Bullock and Jalen Smith and Jalen Knoll. I don't know what I meant to say Jalen Knoll. I do get hung up on the Jalen thing. This is not the first time. Jalen Reed. And so all those guys were out there. And DJ Turner from the Bengals and some other players that aren't as well known, all out there working with Ja'Cory, one-way Nichols, great trainer, excellent private DB coach, works also with CJ Gardner-Johnson and several other players. But, I had fun, and I thought we got some good content out of it. I made a couple shorts with some music. I like to have a little fun. DJ Aaron, mixing it up with a few shorts, and like to do that sometimes with reels. Just, you can really either capture a mood or sometimes turn what might be sort of an ordinary moment, like some guy backpedaling, and maybe make it a little more exciting. It's all meant for you guys to enjoy. So, a couple times if I don't have like a new video or slacking on that a little bit, I'd like to post a short at least to give you guys something to watch. And like I said, we are very close to the 11,000 follower mark, and my hope is if I can get to 12,000 after 1 week of practice, that's my new goal. No, I don't think Kamari really cared about that. That's never come up. There's a million lists, is what I would say. And I know that I'm in media, but I just want to be really honest. The rankings thing is not really my thing, and this guy's the best, and they say this, and this analytics site says they're the worst offensive line, or how could you know that? How can you really quantify that? So I think it's, just something for people to talk about. But no, I haven't heard anything from Kamari about that. I'd be surprised if that's really something he needs. He's already motivated enough. He would practice twice a day if he could. He loves football. He cannot do enough football. Soaks it up, just out there in the rain and in the sun, like the day I was out there with those guys, having fun. That's his thing. He is all football. Engineer the offensive line, whether we could trust the change or just if it's coach talk, obviously the proof will be in the pudding and the actions will speak the loudest, always, more than words. But I like the chances for the offensive line to be a good cohesive unit under Cole Popovich's direction. He has the autonomy. He has the players' confidence. He's changing things around. If you want to be out there on the field, I think you have to really, have the buy-in factor and be good enough and tough enough to be out there, mentally tough, physically tough, and sound in your assignments. It's a new day for the offensive line, new way of doing things, and I know that the players do believe in Caley and Popovich, absolutely. I can tell when they don't or they're hesitant about maybe an answer. They think very highly of what Nick and Cole, two former Bill Belichick staffers, and Josh McDaniels guys. Cassie wants to know the first day the media is allowed at the camp. So they only report on the 22nd. The 23rd is the first day of practice. At 8:25 or 8:30, Nick Caserio will hit the microphone, and we'll have coverage of that. We won't probably have a chance to write a lot of articles probably at that moment, unless he makes major news. And then I'll try to jot something out after his press conference. But 9 a.m. is when practice is supposed to start. And that will mean there's activation and stretching and some video from us of individual drills, then observations throughout the practice, and then post-practice interviews, all of those things. Second, I'm rewinding a little bit here, Jim. No, I don't anticipate that thing, Jim. Jim's asking if will they ever just have two 16-team conferences for the AFC and NFC. I do not anticipate that. I think a second bye week could happen, though. And that's not going to happen this year anyway, or next year. Joe Mixon, I'm told his ankle is doing well, that he's made great progress this summer. His mobility significantly increased. He's been out of the walking boot for quite a while and out of the ankle brace, and he has made major improvements since the spring. Papa Swisher wants to know if D'Amico sticks with the 4-2-5 defense or nickel, who would start alongside Azeez Al-Shire? I think Henry To'oTo'o, if he's 100% healthy, and I think he probably will be, would go out there first. He ended last season as a starter. Christian Harris, I think they're going to have a ramp-up period, and then E.J. Speed kind of waiting in the wings and might get to a part where, if those guys have any kind of injury problems, I think if EJ gets in that lineup, he'll stay in that lineup, and I think he'll play well. So that is a to-be-determined one. What's up, Corey? How you doing? I think it's realistic, engineer, that CJ could be elite, that he could be a guy that's definitely certainly one of the top 10 quarterbacks. He's a very smart quarterback. He already had made a lot of progress as far as the mental side of the game. I think with CJ, it's just always about protection. When he has protection and guys are open, he is absolutely a productive and talented quarterback. Mike, no, I would not. I would not make that bet. That's just my opinion. it was just a soft tissue injury, not serious, Eric, for Jalen Noel. I do think he'll be ready for training camp. I don't know what kind of ramp up they might do with him, but ready in terms of like ready early in camp, yes, I anticipate that. What's up, Tristan? Nobody ever calls me AA, Ron. Come on. No, I like that one. First time I saw that video, I thought it was very funny. I've watched it many times. No, Oscar, no plans right now to have kicker competition. Amy Fairburn, unchallenged. Jim, you got the eagle eye. I didn't see that video of him training, but my understanding is that he wasn't like hurt bad in the spring, so I'm not surprised that he's ready for camp. So, like I said, if he's fully healthy and they're convinced of that, then I anticipate him line up with the ones to start the camp. I don't know if it's hype. I think Jaden Higgins is a legitimate guy. He's 6'4". He's very fast. He's a very advanced rookie. He runs really good routes. He's got outstanding hands. He's just someone that I think does everything very well. And I anticipate him, being an impact rookie. And a couple programming notes for you guys. So Randy McElroy and I will talk on Sunday. Maybe we'll have a guest. Don't know yet. That depends when Randy's able to line up. But I think we'll have a good conversation previewing camp. In addition to the video that I shared, that was just kind of a bonus video that Randy and I did together, and encourage you guys to check it out. But with that, we'll have more coverage coming up. There are going to be a few things in the next few days. I'm going to go to something tomorrow that will be interesting, I believe. And also Saturday coverage of a community event, CJ Stroud, Kimberly Stroud, Tank Dell, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and Sean Tier, our district attorney here in Harris County. It's a back-to-school kind of event. So it's really a community event. It's not so much a football event. It's about giving back to the community. From Mike again. Watching old Brady, no, I don't think there was a follow-up about it. I think he just brought it up that he had watched old Brady. If you look at Brady, and I covered those games when the Patriots would play the Ravens, Brady was pretty aggressive, actually. And he would go deep to the Randy Mosses or the Julian Edelmans. He would let it fly. It wasn't all controlled passing game. It wasn't like he was Joe Montana or Steve Young. No, he used to air that ball out. He could throw. He could slide in the pocket like nobody. Big 12 wide receivers and the track record. So, yeah, I mean, some have done well, some haven't. I think that's fair. But we got to see, got to judge Jaden on his own merits, I believe. See how he does. I do think there's a chance for the improvement. It's really going to come back to old-fashioned concepts of coaching and cohesiveness and these guys working together and having a good, tight group in terms of ideally, if you think of offensive line play, it should look like a basketball team in terms of a five that move in unison, that are able to have some rhythm, some chemistry. It should almost look like a dance. If you ever watch some of the old Dallas Cowboys things, even with the stance stuff they would do right before the snap, or what we would see with some of the zone principles of the old Texans or the old Broncos. Absolutely. Exactly. Jaden Higgins is a polished route runner. It's not like he's just this raw project. No, not at all. He was a highly productive player, high volume wide receiver, ran a great diversity of routes, a real repertoire of route running. And to me, it's a sophisticated offense at Iowa State, where he also had to share the football. And they didn't have a, blue chip quarterback. They had a good quarterback, but it wasn't like he was the biggest name ever. I think Jake Andrews will be the starting center. Nosh, my bad. Nosh Shahid. I think that he is projected. And if he's healthy, he will start. I think he'll do well too. Let's add that on. One of the big things of training camp will be offensive line competition. And to recap from left to right, when they ended the spring, Cam Robinson, left tackle, left guard, Laken Tomlinson, center, Jake Andrews, right guard, Titus Howard, playing a new position, right tackle, Blake Fisher. If you had to ask me who is the most vulnerable to losing his job, it would be Blake Fisher. Engineer wants to know if they will trade John Mechie III, if I think that. I think it makes sense. Doesn't mean that they will. I think I could see it if, depending on after they really determine the depth chart and see is there going to be a role for him. I think those conversations could be had. Oscar's got a movie question. I love movies and television. It's one of my pastimes. If I had to choose between Remember the Titans, Friday Night Lights, or Varsity Blues, or another football movie, what would I like to watch? You know, I like that Tom Cruise high school football movie. I thought that was great with Craig T. Nelson. That was outstanding. And I thought that was a really, really good, a really good depiction of high school football. Varsity Blues, they're all different for different things. Varsity Blues is fun. It's kind of a bawdy teen drama. It's a good movie in that sense. Remember the Titans is just so inspirational. A lot of it's because of Denzel Washington's acting. Friday Night Lights, the movie, is not as good as Friday Night Lights, the book, or Friday Night Lights, the TV show. So I'm going with the other. And I would pick, and I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, Mission Impossible, all that stuff. I'm going with an older movie for high school football. And I don't have my Google up or anything like that, so the name is just escaping me in the moment. Leah Thompson was in it too. It's a good movie, some good acting. And the late Chris Penn, he played a linebacker, and Tom Cruise played a guy named Stefan Georgievich, who was a headstrong safety and corner that wanted to not work in the steel mill. He wanted to get out of his steel town. Tristan wants to know that will EJ Speed fit? You know, he's a rangy, good linebacker that covers a lot of ground, that is a good tackler most of the time, doesn't miss a ton of tackles, plays a little high, he's got to work on pad level. He'll tell you that as well. But yeah, generally EJ Speed is a good blitzer and good at tracking the football and nice and tall, long, and rangy. Yep, side text, the O-line, they will probably rotate some, but eventually they got to settle on 5 starters and get that ready. Oh, great question, Grant. Role models. You know, I've had the opportunity to have a lot of role models, and some of them are well-known and some of them are not. There was a guy named Rick Gosselin that worked for the Dallas Morning News for a long time. He's a Hall of Fame voter. He's a role model. John McClain at times has been a role model. John was someone that I met in 1997 when I was covering the Jaguars, high schools, and the University of Florida. Cultivated him a bit, and he gave me great guidance, and then he invited me to come down here and work with him at the Houston Chronicle. So shout out to John. And then, you know, growing up in Washington, D.C., I was a big Michael Wilbon, Tony Kornheiser guy for different reasons, like things they did. And so I had a chance to read the Washington Post sports section all the time, which was a really good newspaper and sports section. I was actually a Washington Post paper boy. I was 12 years old delivering newspapers, including to the Georgetown basketball coach John Thompson, who didn't live very many blocks away from my parents' home. And yeah, there were a lot of people that were role models. My high school football coach, John Ricca, was a high school football player, and I also was an invited walk-on at East Carolina. Chuck Pagano, the future Indianapolis Colts head coach at the time, was my position coach at ECU, so I learned a lot from Chuck. Great things about character and toughness, and I used to joke with him back when I was covering him when he was working for the Ravens. I said, Coach, you can only work with so much. I wasn't, one of his starters, but really liked playing for him. I don't know. CJ says he's happy with number 23, Cassia. So he says a lot of great athletes wear number 23. I think he may have accepted it, but we'll see if it becomes available, if he changes his mind. Necessary Roughness is a pretty good movie. You've got Sinbad. You've got Kathy Ireland. You've got Jerry O'Connell. You've got the great James Caan, no longer with us. Rest in peace. Some good stuff about Necessary Roughness. It's not a bad football movie. It's more of like The Program. I always liked The Program. I thought The Program was a great movie too. And Latimer and all those guys. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not anticipating a lot of offensive line change. I think they're going to find the linemen they need among the group that they have right now. Longest yard is okay. It depends. The first one, it is a tough watch. Even though there's some good acting from Burt Reynolds. The second one is really funny, especially Chris Rock. He was hilarious. Austin Brinkman, right now, the only long snapper and the favorite to be the next long snapper after the John Weeks great era has ended. And he's with now the San Francisco 49ers, and they are starting young. Hey, Indrid, how you doing? All the right moves. Yes, thank you. It was right on the tip of my tongue. I just didn't want to guess wrong. All the right moves. Good movie. A little corny at times. But you always had the Tom Cruise run. And as he says on his Instagram, he's been running in movies since the 80s. Loves to run. Tom is the man. Jerry Maguire is one of my favorite football movies also. And not coincidentally, I think he was great in that as Jerry Maguire. Texans secondary, top three, absolutely top three. Had the potential to be one, very much. No, I didn't cover the late Brian Bramond, Oscar. I was covering the Baltimore Ravens then, so I didn't get to know Brian, had that privilege. Just covered some of his games when he would play against the Baltimore Ravens. You want me to try the Blue Yeti mic for streamers? Affordable, great sound quality, easy mount stand. Okay, thanks. This is something called Zeal Sound. And I don't know, I've had varying feedback about it, whether people think it's good, bad, indifferent, but it's what I've been using. Thank you. I'm not sure which ranking you're talking about, Eric, as far as if you want to drop it in the comments where he was ranked. To me, he's a top 10 quarterback. I don't know if he should have ever said he was top 5 before. Let's let other people do that for you. But I like the confidence. If they keep Braxton Berrios, it's a very good chance there's going to be 6 receivers on this team. Active roster. Damon, I actually spoke to him this week. And he's feeling good about his chances. But he's got to get in there. He's got to knock off some rust. He's got to adjust to the NFL again. He is not a lock to make the team. He's a bubble guy. But I think that he's talented enough to make the team. I know that his attitude is very, very good. I had a good conversation with Damon, and I know he will embrace special teams. He needs to, as the third corner, if he winds up being a third corner, he needs to be really good at special teams. I thought Woody Marks looked good. I don't know that they even had to get Nick Chubb. I was one of those guys that said that they didn't have to have Nick Chubb. Yep, Jim, I covered Vontae Leach with the Ravens, and we got to be pretty friendly. And I would get him on the phone, and I would text with him, and I've stayed in touch with him to this day. Great guy, one of the hardest, toughest blocking fullbacks in the modern era. And then I covered Jay Prosh, and fullback's kind of a lost art. Vontae Leach, one of the true tough guys, converted linebacker, fellow Pirate, much, much younger than me. Great guy. And someone that linebackers did not like to play against, I can tell you that. Same question, yes, about the receivers. They haven't decided yet, but I think like 6 is a good number to know. Biggest battles heading to training camp. Offensive line, the pecking order at wide receiver, and linebacker between Henry To'oTo'o, Christian Harris, and EJ Speed. Oscar, I don't know if players will have time to do a live with me logistically. I'm just kind of getting to a point where I'm not even, I think, at 10 lives yet. So not yet. I do anticipate taping some guys, Oscar, and then having, those videos for you guys, just like last season. But yeah, not immediately, not right now. I don't know if I'm ready for that or if the players are ready for that. I appreciate the question, and it would be fun, but I'm not sure. It could be a bit overwhelming possibly for a player to be quizzed by a bunch of fans. You could think about that. Or what if we get some trolls in there? I have to be protective of these players and my relationship with them. This doesn't necessarily, even as much fun as it would be for you guys, maybe that's not what some players would prefer to do. Just saying. 11th, Mike, I think that CJ is more in the 8 to 10 category, not 11th, in my opinion. I think he's being impacted a bit by what happened last season. Yes, Steve, and I answered this question earlier. I do think the offensive line will be better. Not sure about as talented at left tackle, obviously not. But collectively, they could be better with a better scheme and with less confusion. There was confusion that affected a lot of things, and there were some guys out there that couldn't make the line calls. That was not a strong suit of Juice Scruggs at center. And then Jared Patterson was a little undersized, getting pushed around a little bit by some of the guys. So center could be a lot better. If center's better, communication and the blocking, I could see this going a little bit better. And this is iced tea, guys. Unsweet. That's my favorite. That's my drink. Drink that all the time. And smells after dinner. Yeah, I need a little caffeine. I don't know about you guys. Got to get a little bit of caffeine. Sometimes I need an energy drink even. And sometimes I go to the gym. I'll go to 24-hour fitness at night after I finish my work. And so I definitely need some caffeine or I get a little tired. Yeah, Travis, he just got paid a lot more money to go to the Ravens. That's why. I answered this earlier, but yes, Ursary, they are close. It is getting there. Don't know when they'll finish the deal, but do not anticipate I shouldn't say holdout. He is an unsigned player. Do not anticipate him not reporting. I think it's going to get done. It's some of it, Mike, the offensive line, the negative opinions about them. I would say that has something to do with it. It's just a matter of perception, right? But what's the reality? They don't have a Pro Bowl guy other than Laken Tomlinson. Well, I think with Kyron Williams, it's well said. Yeah, absolutely. Kyron was effective. And a lot of that has to do with scheme. And the offensive line playing better, perhaps, in their name, in terms of reputation. So, yeah, that's a great observation by Mike. Mike, you are on it tonight, man. You're bringing it. Appreciate you. By the way, guys, we have the, if anybody wants to, if you want to contribute, we have the super chat, all that kind of stuff. If anybody wants to join memberships, all of that is available to you guys. I encourage you guys to take advantage of those resources here with the channel. And I appreciate everybody being a part of the channel because it's for you guys. This is something I kind of wish I'd started a few years ago. And I was hesitant. I didn't know if I could figure out the technology. And I was telling Randy that on Sports Sunday last week. But, I'm getting there. I did get the StreamYard. I'm going to try to figure out how to use that. I think that might take the chats up a notch because then it'll upload faster. Be a good thing. I don't know that anybody's down on Ursary. I think that, he's viewed as a good player. He blocked Abdul Carter. There were a lot of teams that liked Ursary. Absolutely. People like Josh Simmons a little better, Donovan Jackson a little better, but a lot of people liked Ursary. They weren't the only ones. If you look at some of my reporting on Ursary before the draft, a lot of people are all over Ursary. I think the early bye week's okay. I think it might give them a chance to kind of take stock of what's working, what's not with a new offense. It might wind up being good for them. A little low on power here. 1 second, guys. Charger. Sorry about that, guys. My phone. I hope this sounds okay because I did have to plug in. Let me know if you guys can hear me at the same time that I'm charging. So let's do another sound check. Yeah, my phone started getting low on juice. Anybody want to chime in? You can still hear me. Okay. Okay, great. We're going to finish out the last 10 minutes with with no mic. My favorite cocktail, very boring. Would have like a tequila over ice or a vodka and water with a lime. That's my kind of drink. Patriots, good question. Nosh wants to know. I think they're kind of a 500 team. They'll still use Cade Stover probably in some type of fullback role here and there, Oscar, to be determined. Yep, StreamYard's very popular, Mike. I am, I just got it yesterday, so I need to play around with it a little bit before I'm ready to use it for a live. I'm going to probably try to record a video on it and see how that goes first. I think 12 wins, Evan. Jim wants to know whether financial incentives for the Texans have 4 days of training camp. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Cassia. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Cassia. Shout out to Cassia. Thank you. Appreciate that. Right up there. You can see it. She's on the board. Thank you. Appreciate that. No financial incentives. I would say, you have to pay to be there. It's not free. The Texans are just trying to get out of the heat is the big thing, and it's a team camaraderie thing. With Nick Caley, I think that he could, in terms of around the building, people have a lot of respect for him, a lot of energy as a coach, someone that is just a highly respected mind, someone that gets it, connects well with players, has good ideas, has lots of energy. Caley is the X factor. If this Caley thing really clicks, they have a chance to be a really, really good football team. I would say they wouldn't acknowledge, but yeah, the truth is it's average to below average. There's a lot of thought and hope for Cade Stover, but if Dalton Schultz, if he repeats last season, then definitely, whether they view it or not, it is below average. Thanks, Evan. Super from Evan. Something different, yeah. Maybe this will be a special season. That's the words I used when I was talking to Kamari. He agreed with me. He thought they could have a special year. Absolutely. And we'll hang out, guys, until probably a little after over an hour. So we're about 10 minutes left. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I mean, I agree that the defense will be a top 3 or top 5 type of defense. I was saying to Randy, I don't know if they're the '85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens or the Buccaneers defense that was so great under Lovie Smith, but I think it's one of the best defenses here in 2025. Where's the weak link? Defensive tackle can maybe be a little bit better. You would hope that linebacker could be a little more, dynamic, the other linebacker spot, but no team, including if you want to go back to the '85 Bears, had 11 All-Stars. It's just unheard of. And the salary cap and the drafting, it's not built for you to be able to do that. Interesting. Jeff Nixon. Yeah, I didn't think that Jeff was a leading candidate at all. There was no real buzz for Jeff Nixon. Kalen Bullock, yeah, very underrated. I think he'll have a great year. I know some people were wondering, is he going to gain a lot of weight? That's just not his body type. He's going to be, you guys probably saw the video I posted with the shirt off. That's what he looks like. He looks like last year. I know he worked very hard. He's a little stronger, but as far as him really bulking up, that's not his game. His game is speed and length and instincts. I agree. I mean, Mike, that Kaylee is just a very intelligent, sharp guy, and he is a solution kind of guy. Nashia, reiterating on Christian Harris, my understanding is he's had a good summer, that he should be ready early in training camp. I think they might have a ramp-up period for him to let him do some running on the side before they put him out there. Let's see how he does in the conditioning test. Of course, that's never open to the media. Would like to see that sometime, but I don't think I ever will. I could see Higgins being a 1,000-yard receiver. Yeah, absolutely. I think he can be an Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate. He's got everything it takes. Jalen Noel is a underrated football player. Hard to call someone underrated that's that good, but he is underrated. I haven't heard Mike. He just passed today. I would imagine there'll be some sort of moment of silence, I would think, at the first preseason game. I would think that D'Amico will say something, and probably Nick as well, when we get together with them next week. Nash, yeah, I had a few other interests. I was an intern at a law firm. My parents are both retired attorneys. My dad no longer with us, but he was intellectual property and antitrust and copyright infringement. He did DC law for Ralph Lauren, U.S. Olympic Committee. My mom was a labor lawyer and then went to Department of Housing and Urban Development, where she was Associate General Counsel. So I interned at a law firm, so I have something, a little bit of a legal background. And then I had some people tell me I should be a sports agent. I've had people to this day tell me, Aaron, you'd be a good sports agent. You'd be a good negotiator. Maybe. It does take a lot of, I don't have a master's. I mean, I could get one, but a lot of money to, be licensed in all these different states and get the insurance and be able to pay for the training. Being an agent is a tough thing to do. I would be comfortable if I was going with someone that was going to back me in some kind of venture like that. I feel good about what I've chosen to do. This is a career that suited me well, and I'm very honored and privileged to still be doing it. And like I kind of had said before, alluded to a little bit, I think someone made a very poor personnel decision involving me, and I appreciate the people at KPRC. And so far, we've just been like a really strong partnership, and this is just the start of it. It's only going to get better and better and better. Evan, I said this earlier. Joe Mixon had a good summer. Expect him to be ready early in training camp, but there's no rush on him. I think he might be running on the side when camp starts. That's a good idea, Jim. I mean, there might be some sort of thing. I don't know if we're going to have time, but maybe before the season, maybe there'll be some conversations. I know we're going to hang out, some of the media guys, some of the people from the team pretty soon. So, but that's not for No, for the fans, it's just kind of a hangout that we're going to have. Not real exciting in terms of anything like newsy with that, Jim. But yeah, it would be good. I mean, I have so much respect for the other guys, including the Landry Lockers and Cody Stutes and Seth Payne. So yeah, I encourage everybody to watch everybody's channel if you have time. And we all have different styles of channels. Evan wants to know how to use Nick Chubb, Woody Marks, Joe Mixon. I think Joe's certainly RB1, RB2 is Chubb, and RB3 is Woody Marks. Damian Pierce's kickoff returns. I did talk to Matt Golden. Yeah, he likes being a Green Bay Packer. He is someone that likes to go fishing. He doesn't like distractions. He wants to focus on football. He feels like it's going to be a good environment for him. He's a very hard worker, a very good young man, and someone I have a lot of respect for. So I've had some chance to get to know Matthew Golden, and he would have been a great Texan. But I think he'll be a great Green Bay Packer. First round wide receiver for them in 13 years. Anytime, Darktooth. Yeah, sounds good. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. I actually got some new suits, and my wife gives me some advice on that stuff, and I appreciate it. So yeah, thank you so much. The goal is don't be a slob. Try to not be necessarily be fancy, but be professional, and you don't want your clothes to ever be a distraction. So I tend to pick like what I consider to be like okay colors. They're going to show up well on television, and hopefully they fit, depending on how much diet and exercise, how sharp that is, and of course tailoring. But thank you so much. Yeah, and I'll try to have something good for Sunday night for the camp preview. So maybe I'll come out with a new suit. I've got a few in the closet, haven't worn yet on TV, so we'll see what I can do. Thank you so much for noticing. I appreciate that. My opinion on college athlete pay, I think it's going to continue to expand because the players for so long were not getting, their fair share of the pie, and now it's more equitable. I think these guys deserve to be treated as employees, not as free labor and student athletes. Right now, Henry To'oTo'o, I think, would enter camp as the starting linebacker next to Azeez Al-Shire. It's just a matter of health. If he's not fully healthy, but it looks like he will be, they could think about Christian Harris or AJ Speed. I think Christian will have a ramp-up period, meaning that they will want to get him some time running and proving to them that he won't have a recurrence of his calf injury. It was his calf that prevented him from practicing in the spring. Favorite exercise in the gym? I like a lot of them, but I do like to work on upper body the most. And I would say I like doing chest flies. That's one of my favorites, followed by hammer curls. Those are two of my favorites. Absolutely. You always listen to your wife. You always listen to her. And, she always has great wisdom and advice for me and looks out for what's best for me. And, will give me some great thoughts and guidance, including on this stuff. And she's actually learned a lot about YouTube. She makes my thumbnails. I want to make sure I shout her out. So those are her thumbnails. I said before, 11 to 12 wins. 12 wins is the high point. Shocking cuts. Will I see any shocking cuts from the Texans before the season starts? I don't know about shocking. I mean, what would be a shocker? To me, it would have to be some sort of, like they're cutting like a starter or they're cutting like a key backup. I'm just not anticipating that. Mike wants to know how do college players having the NIL not being able to be fined is affecting negotiating with second rounders. I do not think that is mattering much, other than these guys have some money in the bank and they're not as desperate for the signing bonus. So in that effect, yes. guys are not. Oh, you're saying being able to be fined, not fined. You meant fine. Yeah, I got it now. Mike, yeah. If you already have 750,000 or a million in the bank or more, do you need that bonus or can you wait for the good deal? Yes, you can. I think Nick, in a lot of ways, was being proactive with this, as unpopular as it is with his NFL colleagues. That is true. You did hear a cat. That was Macy. Macy chiming in from the peanut gallery, wanting to be heard, probably wanting some treats. Yeah, we have a couple of cats, my wife and I do, here in our apartment here in the River Oaks area. They are good pets. Good question, Nash, about are football games in the cold weather outdated? I mean, I like to watch them. I wouldn't want to play in the snow, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, a good snow game every now and then. But I mean, I don't think it's great football in terms of the footwork and the footing. I think that people fall down a lot. There's a higher chance of injury. You know, I think people like football the way it is now. They're looking for a retreat to the Ice Bowl. We got about 4 more minutes, guys, so let's get some more questions. Has the offensive line improved in mind? Yeah, I think they did. I think they got better. But we'll know more when they have the joint practice with the Detroit Lions against Aiden Hutchinson and company. I didn't like all the tweaking of the kickoffs and all this stuff. I think just keep it the way it is. I think there's been too much with the kickoff changes. Not into that. Good point, Mike. Yeah. Good run game is an equalizer. Doesn't affect the snow. I know. Yeah, a lot of people want to have that dome. I think it takes something away from what Cleveland and Buffalo football is all about. Yeah, Brian's Song is a great movie. We were talking about football movies earlier with James Caan, and it was a great, poignant football movie, but it was also a story of brotherhood, of friendship, and tragedy, of a light being extinguished too soon. In the case of the late, great Brian Peachlow from Wake Forest University and Chicago Bears fame. Yeah, British still has a chance, but it's going to have to only be on special teams. I just don't see a running back or fullback role for him that's going to get him on the field on Sundays. Night to Cassia. And like I said, we got a couple more minutes, so if anyone has a couple more questions. I did see that the book was even better, Mike, the Dennis Byrd book. Dennis was a defensive lineman for the Jets who was paralyzed and regained his ability to walk. Never played football again, though. Great, great story of a defensive lineman from Tulsa University that really left an emotional impact, and a real courageous guy with the New York Jets. A great story and a true story. I think the receivers that are on the bubble, they include Jared Wayne, John Mechie III, to an extent Braxton Berrios. He's coming off an ACL. He's got to get healthy and get out there and start showing why they signed him. I think 18 games is unnecessary, but I understand that it's good for the finance of the league. I want those finances to trickle down to extra money for the writers and the journalists that cover the NFL. Where's our extra money? Good question. As far as for an offensive lineman, I would say they're different sorts of intimidating. Daniil doesn't talk much. They're both really nice guys. They play really clean. I don't know how scary it is other than they can't block them. I think it's intimidating to be against Daniil because some of the moves he has are just really unstoppable. That Euro step spin. I would go with Daniil, and he looks the part as far as intimidation because of the kind of physique he has. He looks like he is carved out of granite. I did think Air was a good movie, the Nike movie. Yes, I enjoyed that. It was a process movie. It was a movie about a dream, and it was a good movie too. I liked it, Mike. Yep, I did see it. I only watched it once though. These other movies, I've rewatched them. I couldn't believe I couldn't name all the right moves off the top of my head because I've seen that movie probably 15, 20 times. Interesting. Who's got the Hall of Fame credentials, really? Who's starting a Hall of Fame type of career that's on a second deal? Like Derek Stingley Jr. maybe one day. What about Will Anderson Jr. one day? Maybe CJ Stroud. See what happens. It's hard to say that there's a active player that's just a lock. Could Danielle Hunter make it? Maybe. He could get in there. I do not see Dwayne Brown making the Hall of Fame, but have so much respect for Dwayne as a football player and as a person. But no, I don't think he's had a Hall of Fame career. I think there's sort of a cutoff, and I think he just didn't. Maybe he's in that conversation. I don't think he's going to make it. 4th and 10, game on the line. Nash wants to know, as the defense coordinator, what play are you calling? Not the prevent. All the prevents is a victory. I would have some type of rush, and I would not just play coverage. You got to get a blitz on him. Couple more guys. Anybody got questions? I don't know, Mike. Yeah, I'm just not sure if Dwayne's career, which bounced around a little bit, if that's going to get him Pro Bowl. I understand you obviously like Dwayne. I think Dwayne's a really good football player. I think he might be in that very good category. Maybe not true greatness, other than a couple of his seasons. Like I said before, a couple programming notes. We're going to have coverage of CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Kimberly Stroud, Sean Tier, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, back to school event. It'll be a lot of fun on Saturday. And Sunday, Sports Sunday, with myself and Randy McElvoy. I think it'll be a lot of fun. F. Austin wants to know if we should change punts to the same, like timeouts, 2 or 3 per half to increase playing time. I want to think about that. I'll get back to you. Nash thinks that me and Cody should go to fast food restaurants and rate them out. Well, maybe. I'll see what Cody thinks when I see Cody. Cody has done some cool food reviews. Cody also did a great cupcake review, and he showed how to eat a cupcake where you take it apart, kind of make it a sandwich with the cream topping in the middle. So yeah, I respect Cody's food thoughts. I just wonder if I'm even able to really do it justice, because I think Cody is just so descriptive. But yeah, I've been to some good restaurants lately. I went to a restaurant in Austin owned by David Mulugeta called The Guest House. That is, of course, Derek Stingley Jr. and CJ Stroud's agent. I had a great time. They had a free dessert for us for our 5-year anniversary. I went to a Japanese restaurant called Haiki on Kirby, really close to where we live, and I thought it was great, and they treated us outstanding. Mike, no, I wouldn't put him in the Ring of Honor. There have been other players that have passed. I'm not knocking Brian, especially on the day that he passed. I'm just saying I wouldn't just put someone in the Ring of Honor. Normally it's not because of a sad passing. And obviously it's a great special teamer, but he didn't have the longest run here. I think that there's other ways to honor Brian Bramond. So no, I don't. I'm not advocating for the Ring of Honor, and that's no knock on him at all. So I hope no one takes that the wrong way. I just don't think. I think you got to reserve that for, the J.J. Watts and the Andre Johnsons, that kind of group. Yeah, the cupcake sandwich. You remember? That was a great video. And I think my wife was amused and she appreciated that. And I was watching intently as he tried the cupcake. So I'll give you guys a little peek behind the media curtain. So on ever since the Bill O'Brien era, we started having an off the record session. That means it can't be reported on, but I can report on the baking. So my wife has baked every Friday and she will make different things. There's been scones, there's been cupcakes, there's been cookies, there's been all kind of pastries, and it's meant for the public relations department and the media and any coach that wants to try it to enjoy. The only coaches that have ever tried it have been Bill O'Brien, who liked them, including her pretzel cookie that he was a fan of, and David Culley would take a to-go box. He loved all of the baked goods she made, and he would have a special to-go box, and he would take it to his office. He had a real sweet tooth, and he's just a sweet man, a really nice guy. He was very complimentary of her baking, and I just do this as a friendly gesture. She's the one that does the work, and I bring the baked goods in. It's meant to just kind of be a spirit of sharing, that we're just being friendly. And sometimes I have kind of a serious image, I feel like, so maybe people can get the idea that, hey, maybe get to know me a little bit. I'm a nice guy, a little serious about what I do. This is a serious profession, but I can have a little fun too. And yeah, I like to do something nice on Fridays when it's just kind of a laid back day. One of my favorite days in the NFL. Not as high stakes in the NFL, but yeah, that's fun. But yeah, I've been doing that, I think, for maybe like 6 years now, maybe longer. And there's been, some people really like them and some people don't have them. It's okay. Not everybody wants, sweets in the morning. D'Amico Ryans does not eat those. He's a very healthy guy. He's not going to have all that sugar. Lovie Smith was the same thing. Yeah, Nash, I thought, Vrabes, when he was working here, was kind of favorite memories of him as a coach for the Texans. It was, someone that would physically mix it up with the players. He wanted them to put his hands on them. He wanted to feel how strong they were. He would do that with J.J. Watt, he would do that with Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Merciless. And he's a really hands-on, tough coach, old school. To watch in person, besides football, I would, I'm happy to go to a basketball game like Rockets, or baseball is a little tough watch for me. It's too slow. But yeah, probably basketball after football. Football first, always. We got 2 more minutes, guys. This is a little long, but I enjoyed it. And I rambled a bit at the end about baking and cookies, and you probably think I'm way off topic, but I had a little fun with that. I don't have the translator for Sahad. I'm sorry. I like the Roughnecks. Yeah, that's where they got Damon Arnett. I know Leon O'Neal from the Roughnecks. I know Coach Johnson, Curtis Johnson, and Brett Maxey. They do a good job. Roughnecks are solid. Hopefully they will continue to have success and produce more and more NFL players. Leon O'Neal told me that he's hoping to get some tryouts here as training camp gets going. So good luck to Leon, who I saw at Anaya Smith's youth football camp and showcase. All right, next one is the last one, guys. Let's see who gets that question in. I'm a wings guy. I would advocate for wings to eat while watching a game. That'd be my favorite. Tim Settle Jr., funniest guy in the locker room. Who wants to get in under the wire? One more. And thanks for all the tips, guys. I appreciate it. That was so nice of you guys. That is helps make the wheels turn. Keep this channel vibrant. So I appreciate that. All right. Guess we'll wrap and finish up this chat. Thank you guys. Enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for the off-topic stuff. That was fun. A little bit different. We talked some food. We can talk road trips. Just some programming notes to let you guys know. Of course, we'll have coverage of all the training camp practices. I think someone asked if they start in Virginia, meaning West Virginia. They do not. They have 11 days in Houston, 9 practices with 2 days off, and then they will travel to the Greenbrier in Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. I will be there for KPRC, and we'll be sending videos and doing chats with you guys and answering your questions and doing interviews and doing the whole media thing. So I look forward to that. I will be in Detroit. I will be in Minnesota, Los Angeles, and it goes on and on and on. Guys, thank you. We'll do this again soon. I'll probably try to have something as soon as we've had a couple of practices and I'll give you, of course, observations from the first day. You can count on that. All right, guys. Thanks, Enrique. He says, go Texans, with 2 exclamation points. Dos exclamations. Oh, thanks, Patty. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do the best we can. Remember, last year, this channel did not exist. It started October 13th, and now we're at about 11,000. And yeah, thanks, Knox. Appreciate it. You too. Stay safe. Not this year. You're not on Hard Knocks. They don't have to be on Hard Knocks this year at all. So no Hard Knocks this year, Enrique. Sorry you got a little bit late, but yeah, I want to answer your question. No Hard Knocks for the Texans. School of Hard Knocks, maybe. Maybe some sticks, hard sticks. Hit somebody. All right. Guys, thanks. Appreciate you. And we'll do this again soon. Good night. At some point, they might be on Hard Knocks again, but there's nothing imminent, and they might even go to Mexico City. That's something that may happen in the future as well. Thanks, guys.